Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have my August TBR for you all. If you look at my past videos, I don't typically do TBR, it's not really my thing. I don't like too much restrictions in my reading. However, when I do a TBR, it's mostly because I'm going to participate in some sort of like readathon, or there's some sort of like obligation that I want to like complete. However, in August, I do want to participate in the magical readathon that was created by G over at Book Roast. I'll link her channel down below. It's a pretty well-crafted, elaborate readathon. This isn't the first round, but you can probably participate wherever you feel comfortable with. The creator has made this huge, extensive like fantasy world with lore and all this kind of stuff. It's really cool, which is why I want to participate in it. I am still mostly a mood reader, so while I talk about some of these prompts in this readathon, know that like these books are still subject to change. I'm still a mood reader. Think of them as placeholders, but I'd still want to read these eventually, but yeah, they could change. The first challenge for me, different people have different challenges, it's a whole thing, but the first challenge for me is to read a childhood fave. So I do also have another series that I like to do every now and then on my channel, where it's called like Nostalgic Reads or something, and where I reread a favorite of mine when I was younger, gives me nostalgia. I have two options for this challenge, and I have Don't Die Dragonfly by Linda Joy Singleton. This is the first book in the Seer series. I don't think it was as popular as my other option, but I really enjoyed this one. This one was about a young girl. Her name is Sabine. She's a psychic, and she's getting visions of someone perhaps dying, and she's had a bad history at her previous school where she was held responsible for the death of someone else also related to her like psychic abilities. It's this whole drama, but I really enjoyed it. Urban fantasy. I do remember our main character has like a legit like guardian angel like in her conscious who's an actual being. Really enjoyed the series. I never finished it. My second option was very popular in the day, and I don't know, I thought all the cool kids read this one. I read it. The main character is very much like not like other girls type. She might even be kind of like a pick-me-ish, and that is Vampire Kisses by Ellen Schreiber. I usually don't care about what people think of my reading taste. It's like whatever you do, you that makes you happy. Like this is like one of the few books that I'm kind of just like, I look back on it now and it's like very kind of cringy. This was very much like my brand growing up. In this book, we follow a main character named Raven, and she is very much not like other girls. She lives in a very suburban, like white conservative-esque town, and she's like a goth kid. And it gives her kind of like a superiority complex, like looking back on it. She's a goth kid, and then this family moves into this like old decrepit mansion in the neighborhood. She's like 100% convinced that it's like a family of vampires. Why? I don't know. She like 100%. Like there's like 100 reasons, 100 like logical reasons for some of the stuff that happens here, but she immediately jumps towards vampires, and I thought that was super dramatic, but also like very much me at the time. So I could reread this one, and it might be really fun. So the next challenge is to read a book with wings on the cover, and I have The Cloud Roads by Martha Wells. This would fulfill a couple of things actually for the magical readathon. I'm also somewhat hesitantly trying to complete the r/fantasy Reddit bingo board. This would fulfill the prompt of reading an LGBTQIA+ book from their list of possible options. I believe there's bi-rep in this one according to that list. Martha Wells is the same author of the Murderbot series, which a lot of people absolutely love, and it's like a 3-star series for me. I know that's like super like sacrilegious because it's a really well loved like novella/novel series. I really do like her character work in Murderbot, but the plot's not plotting for me in the novellas. However, I thought I'd give this series a try. I believe the series is about a young man who is a very unique type of shifter. I believe at some point he does discover other beings of his race, and he kind of feels like finally he might fit in somewhere, but even amongst his own people, he still stands out for whatever reason. I'm not totally sure. What really made me want to pick up the series is that when I looked up on Goodreads just to kind of like scroll through reviews and that kind of stuff, the first review I saw was like N.K. Jemisin's. So yeah, I believe it's also YA, maybe, or like has YA themes, you know, growing up and feeling like an outcast, that kind of thing. The next challenge is to read the oldest book on your TBR, and I don't know specifically which one's the oldest, so I'm going to go for like older in general. And the book that I have for that is Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. Scott Westerfeld was one of my favorite authors growing up. I have done one of his other books for that Nostalgic Read series, the Ugly series. He also did the Midnighters series, which is kind of underrated, I think. But the Leviathan series is a alternate history steampunk sci-fi series. I think it's also a trilogy. This takes place, or this is a reimagining of the First World War. Our main character is the son of Franz Ferdinand, and he's the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, but he's kind of on the run. And then our other main character is a young girl who's pretending to be a boy to participate or enlist in the British Air Services. It says here that the British fabricated beasts versus German steam-powered war machines, so it's like steampunk elements. You better not start barking. But yeah, like steampunk elements, World War I, alternate history, that kind of stuff. I've been wanting to read more like alternate history kind of stuff, and I already know that I like Scott Westerfeld's ideas a lot. The next challenge is to read a book with necromancy themes, and I have Give the Dark My Love by Beth Revis. I haven't heard the best things about this, but it's what I had on hand. It'd be easier to complete these challenges with YA books. They're shorter. I believe this book is about a young woman's country or wherever she lives is getting ravaged by this plague, and she turns to necromancy to like help out her people, make some hard decisions about, you know, necromancy. That's pretty much all I know about it. Another goal that I had for this month is to complete / restart some of these series that started before and I just like never continued. And a lot of them are going to be YA because I started a lot of YA when I was younger and I just like never completed it. And the first book I have is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This would complete the challenge. Hey! Okay, I have a dog on my lap because he was being ridiculous. Okay, so this would complete the challenge of reading a book with bone on the cover title or whatever. I read this before and I liked some of the stuff that we saw. I just never completed it. There's also a challenge to read a fantasy and that's it. And like 90% of what I read has like fantasy elements, so that's not going to be a problem. Pick any fantasy on my TBR on Goodreads and I can choose one of those. The next challenge is to read a book with similar colors to your country's flag. And I have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. She's the author of Priory of the Orange Tree. You relax. The only thing I really know about this is that it does get shelved in like YA a lot, but I don't think I think the author said that it's actually adult. I believe there is a large cast of characters where I don't want to compare it to like one particular series or anything, but it's that kind of book where there's going to be one character for any reader to really love and grow attached to, and I love those kinds of books. And I think our main character is some sort of like dream walker who can go into people's dreams, and she does it for like jobs or something. Don't really know much more about that, but I believe this was on my like giant books to read this year or something along those lines, so I have an opportunity to get to it. Are you gonna behave over here? Because you're being very silly. This next book is also gonna be another reread, and it's gonna be The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I read this again a while ago. It's a fantasy romance YA. This would fulfill the challenge of reading a book in a desert setting. This is a retelling of 1001 Nights. The Khalid of this empire takes a wife every day and marries her, and then in the evening he kills her, and he does this every day. Our main character's sister or best friend was taken, and she eventually met the same fate, and so our main character volunteers. She's the first person to volunteer for this role in order to like get revenge. So it's a revenge story, but it's also YA fantasy romance, and I do remember liking the first book. I just like never continued, so I'm going to reread it. And the last challenge is to read a book that features betrayal, and I have The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I've read before. Again, it's another reread because I want to like continue with the series. Also fantasy YA romance, however, I do really enjoy the kind of narrative structure for this one. In this book, our main character, who's a princess, runs away from her duties, and two men come looking for her. The man that she's supposed to marry that she really doesn't want to, and a like bounty hunter. Can you please relax? And you don't know which one's which until like the very end. While you're reading the story, you're like thinking, is this guy the man she's supposed to marry, or is this guy like the man that's supposed to kill her? And I do know that this book has a bit of a reputation for even like non-fantasy romance lovers to like still like. I don't know. I know you're sad, but I'd rather have you sad than barking. That's kind of what I'm going for this next month. I'll still probably pick up the odd audiobook every now and then because I need something to listen to while I do chores or like edit videos or whatnot. Sorry, this TBR has been weird because someone won't stop barking at the neighbors mowing their lawn next door. So feel free to talk to me in the comments down below about anything I've talked about. I will link all my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.